Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. Forgot to even say my name.
Who am I?
I don't know. We're going to be painting a polar bear tonight. I've got my husband Mark helping me tonight.
Hi.
Obviously, I need it. Let's get started. I scared myself. Hi.
Did you hear that?
I don't know what happened. Oh, okay. I swear. Hopefully we'll get through this. We're going to be painting polar bear. It's going to be a lot of fun. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Sorry, I'm not usually this scattered. We're going to be painting it straight through, live start to finish, and I'll show you the whole process from step by step. So have not painted this ahead of time, so you guys will get to see all the good, bad, and ugly as we progress. I have painted the background with a light orange, so I've mixed Cadmium Red Medium with Indian Yellow Hue and a lot of white, mostly white. Just a tiny little dollop of color, whatever color you want to do in the background, that's great. I'm going to be painting over most all of this, but a little bit of it will show through. I like to use like a light pink or a orange when I'm doing wintry scenes because it gives it kind of a glow. It warms up the background and kind of peeks through. So because when you use a lot of the blue cool colors, sometimes can feel kind of dull or cold, and yeah, that little bit of warmth underneath helps. All right, let's talk about our colors. I've got carbon black, burnt umber, burnt sienna. Don't know if I'm going to use a lot of that one, but we'll see. Cadmium Red Medium, Indian Yellow Hue, Phthalo Green Yellow shade, Phthalo Blue Green shade, Ultramarine Blue, and Unbleached Titanium, Titanium White. This whole mess is Titanium White, a little bit of Zinc White, which is a transparent white, and then some gloss glazing liquid. If you don't have all these colors, just use what you've got that's similar, just kind of a warm yellow and some sort of a nice red that you like. We're just going to be using the red for the stocking hat in different places, so this can be personalized however you want. And normally I use magenta to mix my reds, but I was just wanting a specific red for this, so I decided to just go ahead and do the red instead of mixing it. So that's why I'm using Cadmium Red Red Medium today. I don't know, I'm getting a weird shadow right here. Feels like there's a lot of shadow, and I don't know where it's coming from, but anyhow, okay. Moving on. Move my light down here, maybe that'll help. I don't know. All right, speaking of brushes, was I talking about brushes? No, but I'm going to be using some Aspen brushes. And the Filberts, I think, I'm going to do this kind of a sort of juicier, thicker brush strokes. So I'm going to use the Aspen whenever I want to push around my paint a little bit. These are kind of the bully brushes. They will push that paint, that heavy body acrylics that I'm using, around really nicely for me. A softer brush won't do that. I've also got my two of the same brush there. My blender 3/8 inch in the VelvetTouch, and then the short Filbert number 2 round and 8 Filbert in the Aspen. And then I've also got, for possibly like some of the details in the hat, like the little holly berries and things, I grabbed my 3/8 inch angle brush in the VelvetTouch, and then I've also grabbed a Deerfoot Stippler. So those will be our basic brushes. I may grab other brushes as I work, but we'll see. This is kind of, again, I was just talking to Mark about this beforehand. You know, I kind of since I don't paint these ahead of time, I have to kind of design on the go, and that can be a little frustrating sometimes when you're painting live, because normally when I'm painting, just under no time constraints, I will spend a lot of time designing. But when I'm painting live with you guys, I don't have that luxury. So you don't want to sit around and watch the empty canvas while I'm thinking. So go figure.
So you asked about temperature?
Okay. That's a Nate Bargatze joke. So if you
From Saturday Night Live a few weeks ago.
Yeah. You missed it. All right. So I've mixed up some what in essence is not Prussian blue, Payne's gray, carbon black, and ultramarine blue, and thinning it down a little bit. And I'm going to go ahead and sort of draw out our parts of our bear, so we kind of know where he's going to lay. I've already sort of chalked it out for myself to save us some time tonight, since we're painting on a Tuesday night and nobody has time to sit through a half an hour drawing lesson, or at least Mark doesn't. Let's be real. It's Oak Island night, so we've got to...
The Bobby Dazzlers cannot be on hold.
Cannot be on hold. Okay, so there's our nose. And that's really where I started, because it's really almost smack dab in the middle of the canvas. It's kind of a good place to start. And kept it fairly small. And then we'll do the center line there, not too far down here. And then our little mouth kind of angles down, but then right at the end, it kind of angles back up. So he's sort of smirking a little bit. That'll give him a little bit more friendly look. Not that the polar bears are friendly. I wouldn't recommend trying to shake hands or let me pet that dog. Whatever that saying goes.
Can I pet that dog?
Can I pet that dog? That's me. And polar bears don't. I was really disappointed when I found out they weren't friendly. I don't remember how old I was, but they're cute, so that they make up for it. Okay, so I don't know why I'm giving him a mustache there. I'm wanting to go kind of light here. I don't want this to show through too much, but I do kind of want to just sketch out sort of for you where his mouth is going to go. So it kind of curves around here and then goes almost straight up. Comes in just a little bit, so just however wide you want that jowl part to be. And I'm going to kind of smudge out that line so I don't have a straight line. Here is not bothering me because I do want those to be kind of a straight line, but okay, so that's about right. And then the distance, I think I'm going to shorten the distance between the eyes and the nose. It's not that much in the polar bear. There's not a whole lot of distance there. Maybe not quite a full nose width, so something in here. So I think I need to move my eyes down here. I think I put them up a little bit high. So I'm going to get my black again. And I'm also going to widen out my eyes a little bit. And you'll want, if you want to draw yourself a line, that can help to kind of keep them level. But you're going to want to, instead of going like straight out, I'm going to come up just a little bit more. That'll open up the eye a little bit, make him look a little bit cuter, friendlier, round it out. Like that. Yeah, that's cute. And then at the bottom, I'm going to leave kind of a little bit of this teardrop area here and come up just a little bit kind of to where my line is and round that out underneath that eye there, and then round it out and kind of meet up with it. And you can bring that down just a little bit. So there's our cute eyes. A little bit more wide-eyed, and we can fill it in just so he doesn't look creepy while we're painting other stuff. I've learned. You go back a couple of years and watch my polar bear video from
the hollow eyes.
Yeah, he had hollow eyes for most of the video. It was very creepy.
Staring into your soul.
Polar bear and the fireweed. That was a showstopper for sure. All right. All right, and then let's give him a chin. So just like that. And then the rest of it is going to be just sort of, deciding where we want our hat to be. I'm going to move my hat down too, because I kind of realized after I did my chalk line that I've sort of didn't give myself a lot of room there. So there's my hat line. And so I'll put my ear. The ear is kind of, if you follow the diagonal from the eye out, it's like right there. where this comes down. There. And then the top part of the ear comes over like that. And then this hat covers up part of it. Hat, hat, hat. Coming around, kind of narrowing right here when it comes down. And then side of the face. And you can kind of figure out the size of the face by kind of giving it from the eye out, kind of giving him some cheeks, and then coming out a little bit farther with the rest of the face sort of down like that. Okay. Then we're coming just a little bit under the chin there with our scarf and kind of curve it up a little bit. And then our scarf is going to come out, not a full rectangle, it kind of curves up like this and rounds out a little bit on the edges. Something like that. Nice bulky scarf. And then you can either kind of bring it straight down or to the side a little bit. I think I'm going to kind of put mine sort of here somewhere, just slightly off center. And then the rest of his body, just kind of bring his shoulders down there and there. Okay, and then the top of the hat, we'll do something like this. Just kind of a wavy line up there. And then right here where it curves down, you're going to go kind of squared it off and bring it in and back out and then back in like that. And then the ball sort of falls right in here. All right, there we go. Done. No, it's actually kind of cute like that. You could do a little line drawing version with your kids. I think I'll have the traceable of this available on my website. So it's thankfulart.com if you want to go there and see. It's actually already up, so I already did the traceable for this. So if you go to thankfulart.com and if you're patrons, it's you have to link your Patreon account to my website, and then you get access to all of my traceables, unlimited downloads for $2 a month. So at least right now in 2023, it's going to change next year. We're making some changes, but for now, you can still get it at that price. So, all right, there we go. Let's go ahead and paint our background. So now I kind of know where my borders are. I'm gonna, I think I'm gonna paint it a little bit green, like a minty green, sort of like the thing, but I want a little bit darker in the corners, maybe a little bit darker blue in the corners. So let's make up our minty green. I'm gonna grab my green. If you don't have a green, you can actually just mix the phthalo blue with your yellow and get a phthalo green. But I'm gonna go kind of 50-50 here with my yellow green, phthalo green yellow shade and ultramarine and phthalo blue green shade. I don't know why I said ultramarine. We'll see how that does. I don't know. And then we're going to scoop up a bunch of white and just a little bit off to the side. So that looks a little bit too bright. I'm going to get... Said no one ever about Mark, right? No, I'm just...
Exactly.
I couldn't resist. He always says that. I was just making the joke for you. I was waiting for it. You were too late.
I was chatting with all the art babes.
Ah, check it.
Sorry.
Check. Sorry, Andrew, if you're watching, and Dave and Mike, Mark.
All the other non-babes.
All the non-babes. That's a Napoleon Dynamite. We need to get new jokes.
Why?
Okay, so that's a little bit dark, I think, but that's close to the right tone. I think that burnt sienna mixed in there With these two, kind of just toned it down slightly. So I like to use the browns as my toner. It kind of, or to neutralize my colors and just make it a little bit more realistic. You don't want super saturated colors all the time. So you don't want it super dull either, but they can help. Just a little dab, a little touch of it in there in your mixture of that green really helped kind of tone it down so it wasn't quite so bright.
Hey, real quick. The wooden thing that you lay your brushes on, is that a sanding block?
No, it
Oh.
is a soap
remember.
dish.
A soap dish. Ah, okay.
There, I got two for like,
It's like a teak.
it's teak.
Teak wood? Okay.
Yep.
Soap dish, man. I couldn't remember.
I got one for a shower, and then I had one left over. They came with two, and I was like, hey, that would hold my brushes good. And I've gotten so many questions about it. It's an unintended art.
Yeah.
Everything can become an art supply, repurposed in the art studio. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I'm kind of wanting a little bit more color difference here. So I want to get some white, maybe a little bit lighter color so that I have some little swirls. You notice in the reference photo there's these little swirls in the background, so I want to kind of do some of that. There we go. I don't know if you can see that, but just a little. I'm going pretty juicy with my paint. You can see how much paint is on the brush here, so I'm not shying away from the thicker application of paint today. And I think I'm going to do the whole thing kind of a little bit like that. I think I'm going to bring this hat down just a little bit right there. So just putting that paint on, and then if you're getting it to mix too much, what you can do is get a clean brush and have another brush where you use one brush with your darker color, and then you get the other brush with the lighter color, and you kind of work them around. So I've got this darker color here, and I'm going to mix it in to the lighter, just into the corners here. And when you're using the thicker paint too, you have a little bit longer time to play with it. Acrylics dry really fast, so if you're new to them, they can take a little time to get used to. But main thing is that if you ever feel them start to get sticky, that's when you know you need to kind of back off and let them dry. And it's kind of like me before I've had the caffeine in the morning. Just let it go, let her be, let them dry, and then get back up, get back in there once they dry a little bit, or all the way, I should say. That wasn't a very good analogy because I wasn't wet in my like, it didn't make any sense, but it seemed good at the time. All right. Just trying to be cute. It's backfired.
Well, you miss every shot you don't take. So.
Very true. Very true. All right. So just kind of using up what's left on my brush. One version. I had 3 versions here, kind of dark, medium, light. And so as I kind of run out of one, I just, picking up another part of it here. And if you have too much, I hesitate to tell beginners to use a lot of paint because you'll end up using like a whole tube of paint. So within reason, don't go crazy. You don't need a lot of paint to start with. Like there wasn't a whole lot of paint here. Like you could see I used, and not even that whole dollop, I had about this much paint, and I pulled like maybe a quarter of it from each of these 3 to do that, and then I pulled about an equal amount of white over here to add to that. So, and another thing is don't add the paint color to your white. I'm sorry, I take that back. Don't add the white to your paint color when you're trying to mix that. If you noticed, I mixed this color and then I wiped out my brush, and then I grabbed my white and I used what was left in my brush with the white. If I tried to add white to this really heavy, thick bit of paint here, I would end up using my whole thing of white and then some. So, all right. Go, honey. You were trying to.
Oh, I was just going to recommend that people, pause the video a few minutes ago and then hold up their palette to your hand so they can know how much they had to put out. This much.
Good thing.
Pi r squared diameter.
All right. Is this what I have to put up with?
Is that the metric system or?
No, it's not, because I don't know how to do metric system. I have to use Google for that. All right, while this is wet, I'm going to go ahead and go through here too and just add these like little faux snowflakes, like literally just dabbing through that wet paint. That'll keep them from getting too fussy. Maybe one here. Snowflake six-sided, so it's a little trickier. Sometimes I just do a big X and then put a line through it. So do like an X, and then whatever side is thinnest. I should have maybe gone a little closer to each other with that X, but you get the idea. And then you put a line through. Getting a little bit more bright white too, so let me do it one more time. So an X. Let me do this one a little, maybe down here. I don't want them too matchy, so I'm going to put this one like maybe right here. One X, and then another line through. I apologize for my loud neighbors that are impressed with their motorcycles. Okay. Wow. We did not need that today. All right. So, and you can do as many of these as you want. It's fun to do it with a larger brush, though, because then you can't get too, like I said, too fussy. It kind of looks blendy and interesting things, little dots and dabs and things. Okay, so that looks pretty good. I may still darken it up a little bit, but we're close. So, all right, I'm just going to use what I've got here and add a little bit of ultramarine blue to it. This is my white that that light green background. And I'm going to leave this. In fact, I'm going to grab a palette knife and just scrape up what I have here so that I can use it later before it dries. If you catch it before it dries, then you can kind of get you got a little bit there. Otherwise, it'll just be dry before we know it because it's so thinned out. Okay, I'm just going to set that over there in as thick as I can keep it. All right. Okay. Spray your palette. Keep moist. I'm using a glass palette, but you can, whatever palette you're using, don't use a paper plate. That's all I say. Like, you can use a foam plate, something that's not going to wick away the moisture out of your plate, but like paper plate will. Somebody needed to hear that tonight, I guess. I don't know. Paper plate is not ideal. I've seen people do it, so that's a little too light for what that's going to be a finishing touch. I'm going to get a little bit of that black and Ultramarine Blue instead. And whatever's in my brush here is thinning it down. Or not thinning it down, but tinting it white somewhat because I have so much white in this color. So, but that's okay. So this will be a better, darker. Yeah, there we go. So with the polar bear, we want to go a little bit darker before we go lighter. The lighter colors need to be our last little bit. We need these darker colors underneath him. Giving him a beard. Looks like he's got a Santa beard now. A little bit. Santa was dark gray beard. I don't know what I'm saying.
When do you want to talk about Santa?
What do I want to talk about?
When do you want to talk about Santa?
Oh, probably toward the end.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I have something to share with you guys that I saw this week in my Art Taking Flight group for patrons. One of our followers did one of my Santa tutorials from in 2020, and then she did it again this year and showing her progress. It's pretty amazing. So we'll be sharing that later. All right. Yeah, I want to give it my attention because I can't right now.
Right. No, I understand. Just want to make sure I was on the ready.
Oh yeah, thank you, honey. All right, so getting some burnt umber. I grabbed some yellow there, but I don't like what it was doing there, so maybe I'll get the burnt sienna instead. And literally still haven't cleaned out my brush, so I have phthalo blue, phthalo green, white, ultramarine blue, burnt carbon black, and now burnt umber and burnt sienna. And I have all the colors in this color. It's just a dark brown gray here. But I wanted a little bit of warmer brown than what I was doing before. So I want a little bit warmer than that. I get a little bit of that more.
And if you're just tuning in and then have never watched Angela, don't click off. It's going to get better.
It will get better. It looks worse. I call this the ugly stage. It's got to get worse before we can make it better. So it's just, we're in the kind of awkward middle stage of the painting where nothing looks quite right yet. But we will get it there. I promise. Promise. All right, let's do some of that dark blue up here by the hat.
Reminded me of that 80s song, sorry.
What 80s song?
You made me promise.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Not loud. Don't do it too loud.
There's dogs wailing in the background now.
Kid.
Ears bleeding.
Wasn't that bad.
Oh.
Okay, getting some of that dark green. And I'm just going to use all these colors just to finalize my borders of my polar bear here. And I'm definitely going to obviously make him white at some point, but he's actually white animals in general, and just white in general is never just white, because it's got form, it's got depth, it's not just a flat object. And so in order to make it, it's picking up all the colors around it. White is just like almost like a mirror. So whatever you've got going on in our background is going to be in our white bear here. Okay, I don't love that color for the background of his face. I'm going to kind of pull some of that off. It's a little too dull. I wanted to keep that part a little bit brighter. Okay, there we go. Yeah, there we go. All right, so now I can do the blue that I was trying to do before. So now I'm going to go back in, and I may have to let this dry just a little bit more. It's not quite ready, I don't think. Yeah, we'll let it dry. We'll let it dry, and let's base in our hat real quick. And I'm going to go ahead and use this gray that I had from before. This is that ultramarine blue and and carbon black. And I think it had a little bit of our green in it, but it was mostly those two colors. And a little bit of white. So I'm going to go a little bit lighter than the bear, just so that I can see it. And I'm going to just kind of scrub that in. I want a lot of that pink to show through from the background, that orange. So I'm not going to go solid with this. I'm just going to kind of scrub it, scrub. And then right in this corner where the hat folds over on itself, it's pretty dark. So I'm going to go ahead and go back in here and go pretty dark right there. And just bring it up like that. And then this little bit of the ball in the end of the hat is also going to be fairly dark underneath. Okay, let me get some white. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of that color and just go ahead and use this brush and just push that around and blend it out a little bit as it's wet. So there we go. So that's pretty much done, honestly. That's pretty close to what I want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and go over this part of the hat too, since that worked so well, and just kind of try to get that pretty much based in the way we want it to be, and then we will have one less thing to do later. And I'm just making little rounded brush strokes, and you can switch. I honestly was planning on doing this with a smaller brush, but this brush is actually working pretty good for this, so I'm not gonna quit until I always like to use the biggest brush that I can. It goes faster, it holds more paint, it's just a faster, more efficient way of painting. If you are having trouble controlling it and you're making mistakes or it's going in places where you don't want it, that's when you want to switch to a smaller brush. But if you're able to get the bigger brush to do what you want it to do, there's no reason to switch to a smaller brush. It's just, there we go. Okay. And then let's go ahead and do our red for our hat and scarf too. Let's go ahead, but first let me fill in his nose, because I feel like it'll make a big difference once we do that, because then he'll start to look a little bit more like a bear. All right, I'm going to get the black, and I'm going to add blue to it again. I feel like I just want a little bit of that cool blue color even in my black. So I'm adding just a little bit of that ultramarine blue. It's not going to turn it all the way blue, but just a little bit. And my darkest area here on the bottom of the nose here, it's so dark you really can't almost see the nostrils. So what we're going to have to do is like highlight them a little bit to create our shape and round it out. So I'm going to get some ultramarine blue here and kind of fill in the rest of this with that. And then I'm going to get some white and mix that with that ultramarine blue. I still had a little bit of that black in here. And while that's wet, I'm just going to push it through. And if it doesn't want to stick, then you can let it dry all the way and do this afterwards. But I'm just going to try to, there we go. We got it. We got it to stick. And then I'm going to take the very tip of the brush and just draw very carefully around my nostrils, my two nostrils. Kind of bring them down there just a little bit. And don't do it too perfect. Like, do a little bit of a line here and a little bit of a line here, and then leave a little room, and or maybe do it lighter and then a little bit darker there, and that way it'll look a little bit realistic. If you have it perfectly outlined, it's not going to look real. You know, it's going to look kind of like we've fussed with it too much. So I'm going to get a little bit of that ultramarine blue and just kind of highlight the bits there, and maybe kind of shape out that nose, but it's pretty close to what I want. Okay, and then let's go ahead and do the bottom part here, and this is all kind of faded out to gray, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of fade it out a little bit, get the dark black, use that right here. But then on either side, I'm going to get some of that kind of lighter green and just dab it over to blend it out. So it kind of fades to black to gray out from the mouth. What am I doing? No, I want black. Sorry. Black. And then we'll do the mouth part. So there's just like a little, I don't know, his nose got a little tilted there. I don't know how that happened. Bring that nostril up maybe a little bit. Down, and then just a little tiny nudge up. So he looks like he's kind of smirking. Okay, then I'm going to get some of that burnt umber and some of my gray from my bear and just kind of smudge out around that black a little bit. Smudge out around the sides of it while it's wet. Just a little bit. I'll just soften it up a little bit. And then we can shape it out with our highlight colors. So I'm going to maybe bring it up just a little bit right there where it kind of got a little dark, and pull down my blue there. You know, it's amazing what just like the little tiniest brush stroke sometimes makes a difference. I'm using a 12 by 12 inch canvas, by the way. I don't think I even mentioned that. Hopefully I did. I think I was talking about other stuff at the beginning. So that's the size here that I'm using. So it's a little bit easier to control a larger canvas when it comes to expressions and things. If you've got a really small canvas, like that's really when the smallest thing matters. Getting a little bit of burnt sienna color, and I'm going to go around the nose, which we already kind of have this color in that background, so maybe I'll just leave some of that pink around it showing. Honestly, don't mind this color for my white bear, you know. That pink is actually looking pretty nice right there, so I may leave a little bit of that showing a little bit more than I intended to. But all right, so there's that. Let's go ahead and do the eyes, and then we'll do the scarf and hat, and then we'll come back to finish the fur, and we'll be done. It's coming along pretty good. What time is it? 40 minutes? Not bad. Not bad. We're making good time, I think. All right, so trying to make them about the same size and about the same distance. You can kind of check it. I feel like this one is like a little bit far to this side, so I'm going to bring it in a little bit. You can kind of check my nose and go straight up there, and I can tell. You can see how that one got a little high somehow. I'm not really sure how that happened, but so we'll just move it in.
Make something that's straight, that's got lines on it, so you can
measure things.
You just see how consistent things are. At least, I don't know.
The fingers work just fine.
Okay. What if somebody doesn't have your fingers? Then how would they do it?
And they're out of luck. I don't know what to tell them.
We'll photocopy your hand and then PDF it and send it out to everybody.
Doing this.
Part of the Patreon $500 level.
I like it. I like it. All right. It really would be funny. Just as April Fool's. We have to remember that. We're going to have to do that for April Fool's. You need to remember that. Write it down. April Fool's this year, we're going to put out a new thing. Measuring device. All right, so I've grabbed I think I grabbed the Phthalo green and Phthalo blue while we're talking. A little bit of black here, and then I added white to it. I might have added ultramarine blue there too. You just have to check the video. I'm not sure. I was talking and joking around. Sorry. Mark was distracting me. It's not my fault. Okay, so just kind of cleaning up that shape there with a little bit of that blue around the eyes. You got to be careful with blue around the eyes. I did a llama once and I did too much blue around it and he looked bruised, like he looks like his under eyes are all bruised. Now on this guy, I think we'll get away with it because he's like kind of in a blue scene and everything else is blue, but I did regret giving my llama a little bit of a blue eye. Looks like he had gotten into a fight or something, or was crying. Okay, so there we go. A little bit of blue around the eyes. Doesn't need that much, but you get the idea. I'll be adding a lot of white here, so I'm just kind of exaggerating. And I'm going to get a little bit of black mixed with that and kind of do my under eye portion right there. This is also the color that I'll use on this part and a little bit around the eye. So this will kind of set that eye back. You're kind of like putting eyeliner on him almost, just kind of tight lining here. If you're like me and watch all those, I watch way too many
makeup
videos, and then I buy this stuff and then realize I'm not 20 anymore. It doesn't work for me like it does for them.
Okay, we got a quick question.
Okay, right here and right here. Just adding a little bit of white there with that black. That black was on that side was kind of sticky, so it's not quite doing what it's supposed to do. I'm going to add a little bit more black. There we go. Just a little bit of light gray at the bottom. Sorry, I just need to fix what I'm doing here and then
No problem. No problem at all.
There we go. I think I brought it up a little too high. Just a little bit will do. But I want that black to be underneath this. So this is going inside on the eyeball itself. Just a little highlight on the eyeball itself. And then we'll put a little bit of highlight kind of across the top. And then another brighter highlight once that dries. We'll just have to let it dry. Okay, go. How does she decide on the blocking color? By blocking color, you mean the color that I'm putting right here, this color, or like the blue color? You're not talking about the background, correct?
We'll find out.
Okay. I know why my nose looks crooked. It's because I brought this highlight down too much over here, so I'm going to kind of fix that a little bit. I'm going to bring that back up right there. That needs to be straight. There we go. Now it doesn't look crooked. Okay. And then that corner needs to come up a little bit. But if you're talking about the background colors, like how do I decide what's back there? What I do is I look at my reference photos. For this case, I have like 3 reference photos. The original reference photo had a lot of yellow in the bear, and I didn't want my bear to be yellow. I wanted him to be more blue. So I took my drawing and I went to my tablet and I digitally drew over the photo to add the blue parts. So if you look at like there's an older reference photo, I think.
It said yes, the blues.
The blues, yeah. So I just look at what I'm seeing in my reference photo or so I guess in this case I made it up myself, but I wanted everything to be kind of blue. So I And I looked at other photographs and different references so that I could kind of get an idea of what colors I wanted to use, and then I exaggerate those colors and make, put them in the places where I want them to be. I'm going to add a little bit of this excuse me, green to my hat. I swallowed wrong. Here, let me get a drink. So yeah, it depends. I was telling Mark too, it's like it's very intuitive at this point. I don't do it the same way every time, so I don't have like a formula. I just kind of go with what feels right at the time. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you kind of, if you have an idea of the color scheme that you want, then it really doesn't matter what colors you use necessarily. What really matters most is how dark and light they are. And I need to go dark enough that it looks, this color is as dark as the darkest part of my reference. So you can see that I'm not going as dark in here because this is my highlight area on my nose, same with here, and my darkest areas were in here. This may not be dark enough, but if I get my light colors on and I decide it's not dark enough, I can go back in and glaze some dark color on top. And glaze is just a thin, transparent layer of color, and you can use darker colors or any colors that you want. But yeah, I get as close as I can to what I'm seeing as my underneath colors, underneath my light colors, and it can be tricky to see that. Some people have trouble seeing that, but over time, you'll be able to start, as you look at a photograph, really break it down. And sometimes it can just be helpful to look at it in sections. So just focus in and like block everything out but that little section and just try to decide. You can even use a color picker tool on your tablet or something. If you have like the photograph on a digital thing, you can go put it in a photo app and select with a color picker tool. It's just this little, it looks like an eyedropper. And it'll show you what color it is, and it'll also kind of show you on the color wheel where it lands. If you've got a good photo, like Photoshop, Procreate, one of those, kind of photo editing apps. So that can be really helpful, especially if you're confused or not being able to see these colors. That tool can really help you, because it breaks it down for you, and you can just take any photo and see exactly what colors you're seeing in there and how dark they are and where they fall in the color wheel. And then you can, put those in your photo if you want. But I don't always go exactly by the photo, but I try to edit my photos so that they're as close as I can get them to what I want. And if I can't, then I draw on them. So, which is what I did with this one. All right, so I'm getting that green from the background, and I'm adding ultramarine blue and white to it to get a little bit more of a icy blue, a little bit warmer blue. And I'm gonna start actually I want to do the background of and I think I'm gonna leave this area pretty much the color that it is now. I think we got it fairly close to where we want it to be. I just thought I probably need to do my scarf, because some of this is going to go over the top of our scarf. I've switched over to a 4 short Filbert, just a short brush that can give us a little bit more control. This is my light side, so this side I'm going to maybe bring in a little bit of yellow to my white. Kind of try to add a little bit of it back here, but I don't know if I was very successful with that color. I don't really like it that much, but it was a little bit more of the brown side of the bear. And when the fur grows out from the nose and the eyes, so those are kind of the focal point, and then all the fur kind of goes out like a sunburst from that, you know, down from the eyes, around the eyes. Same thing with the nose, kind of out and around from the nose down, and then the cheeks, pretty much the same thing. They kind of grow at a diagonal away from the nose and eyes, like this. So as you're doing these brush strokes, you can kind of layer them that way. Keep that in mind. That's kind of how, that's the look I'm going for there with that kind of chunky brush stroke. So I'm not going real thin with my brush strokes like I did on the kitten a few weeks ago, which our kitten turned out angry. I don't know what he was mad about, but he looked pretty mad. He was grumpy kitty for sure. I really intended for him to be a little cuter, but he's cute. He's cute grumpy. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of like a grumpy kitty, but I did intend for him to be a little bit less grumpy, but it didn't turn out that way. That's the joy of live streams. Sometimes it's not until I'm editing the photo later and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. When I added the highlights to my cabin door, I made it square instead of kept it with the perspective. So my cabin last week, I had the, yeah, I don't know. Anyhow, I'm not going to talk about that cabin. Happy thoughts, exactly. We're painting a polar bear today. But yeah, I kind of messed up my cabin last week a little bit with just the perspective. So I did the traceable right. So if you're following the traceable, follow that instead of my finished photo. Wiping that off. So getting a little bit of this gray blue. So I just added the Phthalo blue, Phthalo green together. I'm sorry, Ultramarine blue and Phthalo blue together. And just adding a little bit darker color around the muzzle there, a little bit underneath the muzzle, chin. I'll add back in some light color on top of this, but just trying to kind of tone that down just a little bit. That looks good. A little bit brighter blue. And then this area up here on the forehead is pretty light, so I'm going to use this kind of minty green, I think. And the lightest parts are going to be right above the eyes here, on this bone that sticks out right here. And then it kind of comes down a little bit. Here and here. And then a little bit kind of coming across. I'm literally scribbling with this brush, so trying not to get too fussy. I don't have a ton of paint on it this time, so I'm kind of controlling the amount of paint that's going down. And if you're having a hard time and it's not putting down a lot of paint, then add more. But, you know, this will make it a little easier to control. Just have a little bit less paint right here. And I'm going a little bit darker in my shadow area right here by the side of the face. And coming out a little farther there to cover up my background there. So I've got kind of fuzz around the sides of the face. Fuzz out that side of the face. I'll give him a little bit of a hollow cheeks. We're snatching in those cheeks right there. Contouring. Okay, and then let's get some more white here, and I'm just going to use what's on my brush here. Maybe some of that unbleached titanium. That'll warm up this color a little bit. And yeah, there we go. We'll do that nose coming down. Oh, he's cute. He's cute. I love it. Finally, I got one of the animals cute, and it's the like the meanest animal out of all of them.
This way it's easy for them.
Don't
They
trust the cute.
Yeah, because they can't run very fast. So, by being cute, everybody comes up to them.
Right.
They don't have to chase anything.
I think they can run fast. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay.
Bears can run really fast. They run a lot faster than humans. I think polar bears do. I don't know if they're different from grizzlies, but I know grizzlies will catch you. Okay. Oh, look how cute he is. I love it. And he's got that little bit of a... See how nice that warm is right there? Doesn't that look... I don't know. I just like it. I may be weird, but I like the warm reddish. And in fact, I'm going to add a little bit more to it on my cheeks. So I'm going to get that red, that background color, the red and the Indian yellow hue, and add some white to it. I'm going to use a little bit of it right here. I kind of took out all my warmth. I'm just going to put a little bit on his cheeks, just right up underneath his eyes, just a little bit. Not a lot, but it'll kind of add a little to that area. So it's not all cool colors all the way through everywhere.
Okay, so polar bears can run about 25 miles per hour.
Yeah. Yeah, that's faster than the fastest human, right? Or is that about the same as humans? Or sprinter, I think, can do 25 miles for short distances.
Maybe.
Miles per hour.
That's 0.01 kilometers per second. Oh, 40 kilometers per hour. There you go. So it's even faster in the metric system. They're pretty fast. So you want to find a U.S. polar bear that goes in imperial units or slower. You don't want those Canadian polar bears because they run in metric speed.
Did not know that. I like your math. Good skills.
That's fact.
You got it off the internet. Everything is...
It's right there.
Right. The whole truth of the world is right there at your fingertips. It's amazing. Oh. All right, get some burnt sienna, burnt umber. You can even learn how to paint. Maybe. I'm going to buff out around the nose with this, just kind of pushing it in. I don't have hardly any. You saw me wipe my brush out there. I wiped my brush out to get most of it out. I'm going to buff it out around my dark black and around the nose a little bit right there. That just sets that nose in the face. I kind of did it around the eyes. I can do a little bit around the eyes too if I need to, just to kind of set it in and then get a little bit more of that black, and just need it right in the middle because I kind of lost mine. You may not need to do this, so it just depends on what yours is doing. He looks beautiful. And I forgot to do any of his body, so his body's not going to match. But we'll get it close. Get it as close as I can. I need a little bit more. You can see how much more green that is. So I'm going to get a little bit of the ultramarine blue there. And my white. Use that. There we go. I like it. I always like to start with the under layer, so, you know, the part that is at the bottom, and work my way up. And that way they're gonna overlap properly. I'm gonna get some black and my ultramarine blue, and I still had a lot of white on here, so I'm gonna kind of use that to overlap here. I might use just a tiniest bit of it under my chin. Like a little bit of phthalo blue too. Phthalo blue, ultramarine blue, and carbon black with white here. This is the color that I used around the forehead and around the eyes a little bit too earlier. I'm gonna buff that out again. The thing with the white is that, you know, what happens is you add a little white and then you cover up your highlight, your shadows, and you have to add the shadows back in, and then you cover up your white, and then you got to go back and forth until you get kind of the right balance, and each time you get a little closer to it. And then, you know, so don't try to do this all in one layer because it won't turn out. It won't look right. You gotta be patient and do this in multiple layers over, you know, over time, and then you'll get the really good, you know, good looking results. Getting some white here. I'm just going to kind of go around the nose. This is almost pure white here on my brush.
Were you going to paint in the scarf before you went too much further?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. Just a reminder.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Keep getting distracted by his cuteness. There we go. That's pulling that face forward. Getting some of that warmer white with the unbleached titanium. He's on this side. This is our warmer side here. Gonna round out his cheeks a little bit up here. Just keep on making small adjustments. Now I'm almost done with his body here. Getting that blue, mixing that in with what I have on my brush. I'm going to leave this pretty dark down here for the most part. Okay. Yeah, let's do our scarf and hat. Now, before I forget, though, I'm going to do the little highlight in the eye. Get my round brush. This is the 2 round. And just kind of right here in the middle. Sort of make a match. There we go. And then I'm going to do a little bit more on the nose. Coming down a little bit. Make it look wet. And then I can put a little bit of this, like a little highlight around the inner corner and a little dab on the eyelid. Just little tiny edits. Maybe tiny little line down the middle of the nose. Gonna round out the nostril a little bit bigger. I moved that highlight out, so that nostril's a little bit bigger. Realized I made his nostrils a little small. Okay, there we go. Oh, he looks so pretty. I like it. Okay, let's get my red, cadmium red. This is going to be my main hat color, but there's very little part of the hat that's actually going to be just this color. So it's kind of like right in here is mainly this color. And then the rest of it is shadows of this and shades, so and tints. So I'm going to get the black. I'm going to get a little bit of ultramarine blue, and that'll just warm up that black a little bit and make it a little bit less, or cool it down, I guess, in this case. Make it a little bit less harsh. Slightly more purple with the shadow. And it really, yep, there we go. So I want it to be the same darkness or darker than the hat right there. The hat band. Getting it really dark in there. I don't love that color. I think I want it more blue. So I'm gonna get some phthalo blue and ultramarine blue and my cadmium red. Maybe a little bit of black. And make it more blue. That's better. Let's see what kind of purple I get with just these two. I might not need the black at all. So I get kind of a brown when I'm adding these two together because that phthalo blue is so close to green. So let me try it with the ultramarine blue. It's hard to get a warm red to make it a good purple. So this cadmium red medium is very warm. That's why I usually have magenta on my palette, because when I want to make a purple, that one's not bad. Okay, we'll do that. So we'll use ultramarine blue with the cadmium red. And we'll use that as my shadow color, and I'm going to bring that all the way up here to this fold that happens right here. And you can see where it kind of lifted off that color a little bit because I touched it on the paint that was trying to dry. So that's where I was talking about earlier, that you need to leave it alone if it's trying to dry. I'm going to get some of that light color that had a little bit of that yellow in it right here. When I used it on the cheeks right there, it has the white and the yellow, Indian yellow. I'm going to use that up here. That's good. Okay. I'm just mixing it in. There we go. Oh, it's cute. I like it. And it really helps having that color that we used in the bear up here in this red, and having the red in the bear too. You know, if we had just red here and only and blue here only, it would look too separate. It wouldn't look like it was part of the same painting. I'm going to get a little bit of the Indian Yellow Hue and my Unbleached Titanium, which has yellow oxide and burnt sienna in it. It's white with yellow oxide and burnt sienna. So get those two, and then a little bit of red, but I want to go a little bit more yellow with this color. And I'm going to use that up here on my hat up at the top. And it's kind of my highlight color. And then wipe that out and get some of my red mix that with that yellow. This is the red that was already mixed with the yellow, so it's just kind of a mid-tone. I'm gonna medium and just pull that highlight color down in this area, and I'm not really worried about my brush strokes showing or it being perfectly blended. I'm trying to work wet into wet so that it all kind of blends together as I work. If it's starting to get sticky at any point, just wait, let it dry, and come back to it. So getting some of that ultramarine blue and red mixture here, and I'm gonna add those two together. Oh, we're making good time. 7:12. Man, I saw you putting your headphones away. I thought, oh my gosh, am I out? What time is it? Is he done?
I'm out.
I know. What's going on?
I have had enough of this. No, I had not charged my headphones in a while, so they're
dying on you.
those are going out, so I'm swapping headphones.
Check. I think I do want just a little bit of it kind of popping up right there. So I'm going to get a little bit of this red and just pop it up right here. Yeah. Collapsing down on itself and then back up. Cute. Okay. I'll probably have to do a little bit of this hat color back up over since I jumped the gun there and tried to finish it before I did my underlayers. All right, and here again, I don't have any of these colors saved for my scarf. That's okay. We'll just do it the best we can with what we got here. So I'm going to use my dark red here with the ultramarine blue and red, and I'm gonna do kind of some alternating stripes, I think, of color. So dark, and then maybe some brighter red. In fact, I think I'm just gonna put the whole thing kind of red, and then I'll put the stripes in over it. It'll be easier to do than to try to paint around it as I go. I'm going to get some black and ultramarine blue and a little bit of that red, actually that color there. I'm going to use it underneath. And I don't know why I'm doing it that way, because this part is not going to get the fuzz. That part will get fuzz because it's like the chin hairs are coming over the scarf, but this part, the scarf is over the top of the fur in this area. So I'm gonna put it over the top of it here. I think I might do a little bit of teal in my scarf. And then I'll use the same green in my holly berries, or holly, this up on my Santa hat. Gonna need to do some fur over the top of this too. Messy. It's okay. I'm gonna make it more messy before we start to add details, but this is gonna come together pretty quick. These, I'm not gonna go overboard with all the details on the scarf. I'm just gonna kind of add some light suggestions of prints, not too fussy. Adding a little bit of the white with this color that was on my brush. Okay, and then grabbing that color and going really dark right under here. If I can get it really dark. you doing, hon?
Somebody asked if you had done holly before,
Yes.
and so I went to your thankfulart.com website, went to tutorials, typed in holly in the search,
Yeah.
and I got 3 hits.
What are they?
Christmas stocking with a puppy,
Okay.
Christmas street lamp,
Okay.
Patreon challenge,
Right.
and ice skates.
The Santa hat has holly too. I need to add that to the tags on the website then, because the Santa hat's the only one that really does holly the way I'm going to do it in
Like
this
a
one.
big close-up holly.
Yep. Okie doke. I'm going to bring that down right here, just so it's like
Oh, yeah. The Santa Claus portrait.
very similar. That's what I'm using as my
Referrals.
inspiration. And I think I'm going to bring this scarf out a little bit here to where it's kind of... And then I'm going to use that green from the background with it and sort of fade it out where the edge of it is and bring it in. See how it'll kind of disappear that edge a little bit and soften it all up. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with this side. I really brought it out on this side a lot. But just adding that background green. Anytime you want to soften up an object, use a little bit of your background color there. Doesn't even have to make sense. Just right along that edge. It'll really help. Kind of pushes it back and softens the whole thing. I'm going to use a little bit of it on my hat too. Just right along the edge. Just buff out a little bit of that red. Even though it's not red. I got a little bit too much on there, so I'm just going to take my wet brush. Whoop. Oh, that color came right off, didn't it? That means it wasn't dry. Get the red, white, and yellow oxide there. There we go. And I'm going to use a little bit more white here. And just right in here. Create a little fold right there. And then again, get that green from the background and sort of buff out the edge of the hat. It'll help kind of ghost it out. And I'm gonna define that edge of that snowball right there with it too. And then I'm gonna get some white. I might even get a little bit of that unbleached titanium and white. Definitely have other things on my brush here, so that's fine. I'm gonna dab. And this is where I could use this brush if I wanted it really fuzzy. But I think I'm gonna just stick with this. I like what it's doing here, and so I'm getting a soft enough edge that I don't think I need to go for the really fuzzy. But I do want my ear to be a little bit highlighted. I forgot to do the ear. Maybe a little bit more of the unbleached titanium there. little bit of the burnt umber. There we go. Just whatever you need to use to separate out your things. So my ear is disappeared into the background now. You can't even see it anymore. So I just have to define it a little bit more with a little bit brighter color or something so that it stands out. Maybe that's too bright, but you get the idea. Like, you know, sometimes you need the... And I think I can make it a little bit bigger. I think it's a little bit... Although their ears aren't very big. I don't know. I don't know if it's the size that's bothering me. Something about it's bothering me. You get a little bit of burnt umber, or I'm sorry, ultramarine blue and phthalo blue and carbon black. And let's, instead of going light with it, let's make it more blue and just define that edge a little bit. There we go. There we go. That's better. Now he's got an ear for sure. It's not blending into the background. It's helpful to look at your painting from a distance. So I didn't notice that until I looked at it in the monitor, and then I realized that, oh, wait a minute, I can't see that ear anymore. So it's helpful just to take a step back and look at your painting from a distance from time to time as you work. It's a good habit to get into. And I usually, like when I would finish a painting, I would set it up in my living room and look at it for a few days. And usually I would find things to change. I don't have that luxury anymore, but but it used to be, that's what I used to do. So very rarely would I finish a painting in one setting and be like, that's perfect, and walk away, you know. That just doesn't happen very often. So there's always little things that you can do. Sometimes it's fine, but you know, sometimes you can get caught in that perfectionist trap and never finish a painting because, you know, it's never good enough. So there's a flip side to that, you know. At some point you just have to move on and try again another day, and it's better to not fuss over a painting. It's better to just do more, you know, learn from your mistakes and do better the next time, you know, than to try to perfect every single painting to the nth degree. It just, you won't learn as fast by doing it that way. And that's one of the things I was going to share with you guys tonight with Shannon. Shannon shared with us her progress on a painting that she'd done back in 2020, and she did it again, you know, and she shared it with us. And she's definitely one that has listened to my advice about just painting, just paint and paint and paint some more. She has been very diligent about doing it over the last two years, and you can see the incredible results here coming up later on, and how just that consistent practice has paid off, you know. And her first attempts were maybe not what she wanted, but that's okay, you know. Our first attempts at anything are never going to be all that great, you know, but you just keep doing it, you know. You do it, you maybe don't do a great job, but you keep going and try it again and try it again and try it again. And don't just stop and say, oh, I can't progress unless I finish this painting and it looks perfect. You know, that's not how your body or your brain learns. You know, you learn more by repetition and actually doing the thing than perfecting the thing. So, all right. Lots of fluff there, just adding shades of blue little bit toward the bottom here and varying up the lightness and darkness here. Getting some really bright pops right in the middle. That looks nice and fuzzy. Let's do a little bit on here. Okay. And then on our scarf, I'm going to use the same colors. So I'm not going to change the colors. I'm just going to use the same colors that we used in the hat down here in the scarf. And then it'll tie everything together. So I'm going to just kind of find some areas and maybe say I've got a stripe here, and look at my areas where I've got a dark area and maybe skip it so that I can do kind of following the line of the scarves that I've got, or the folds of the scarf that I've created already. Getting some of the reddish pink color. Let's do a little bit of that. Getting some brighter red. Maybe some of this has got some bright red in it. Maybe there's a pattern there where there's something. You see, there's just like tiny suggestions. It's amazing how much your eye will fill in for you. You don't have to overdo this part. And I'm going to kind of decide that that part is kind of curving right there, maybe a little bit. Dab, space, dab, space, dab. It's going to look like a fully patterned scarf here before we get done with it. Maybe that part was like that and this one is over here. See, following those folds so that I'm not just doing straight lines. Okay, let's get that white again with the unbleached titanium. And let's say that this one, now that I've got that there, I can figure out where I want these ones to go. Maybe there's a little Isn't that fun? Just follow the pattern of the curves. Okay, I think we're good there. Let's do some across this way. Sometimes you're going to skip, sometimes you're going to do kind of more of a straight line. Sometimes I'm going to do a brighter color and dot it. Let's do some of this brighter color on this side here. Brighter red here. Cool, huh?
Very cool.
Yep.
Like ice cold.
All right, let's mix up our green for our holly. So I'm going to use the same green from our background, I think, which had a little bit of that burnt umber in it. Or no, I think I added burnt sienna, so I can add both. It doesn't hurt anything. And then I'm going to add some white to it. There we go. So yeah, there's our background color. which is just a little bit more saturated here. And I'm going to use some of this in our scarf too. So. Oh, that's nice. Okay, I like it. Again, kind of just using this bigger brush here, this 4 short filbert, so that I'm getting plenty of randomness. Okay, there we go. And then I can go back in and add highlights and things later, but I'm pretty happy with that for the most part. I got my dark parts in before I did my, you know, my scarf details. So, but then I can glaze over this to really like pump up the contrast. And I think I'm going to do that with my hat really quick before I do the rest of my detail here. Before I do my holly, I'm going to get that dark purple color that's my shadow color. And I'm going to, a little bit of glaze, this is where the glaze comes in. And I'm going to find that crease and just put that glaze right in that crease. And then wipe my brush out and pull it down on one side, down below. You may not have to do this. I just wanted a little bit more of a sharp crease there where my hat was folded over. And then anywhere else that you want to add a little shadow, you can do. So this is what I was thinking down here. This needs to be dry before I do this, but I can go in and add, you know, a little bit more shadow to some of this if I need to separate anything out, and then I can come back in with maybe get some zinc white that's not so opaque but still kind of has a lightness to it, and find some of these high spots and highlight them. And I probably should have highlighted before I did my stripes. I'm thinking about it now. That probably would have been smart. So, but the zinc white's working. But I think, you know, if you wanted a colored highlight, like if I wanted the scarf to be more like reddish or something like that, then I could have put in my highlights on the scarf before I did my pattern. And then you would end up with more of a color, because it's kind of hard to do it at this point, because you kind of lose some of your pattern when you highlight over it. Adding a little bit of red there, but there we go. And then you can make sure you put your pattern back over the highlight parts if you covered up any of it too much. And I might go back over it with a little bit of yellow, but it's close enough. The idea is not to be too fussy with it, so I want to listen to my own advice, which I don't ever listen to. Good luck with that. Mark's laughing because
I don't listen to it either, so that makes two of us.
That's a perfect comeback. That's big talk for somebody who's going to have to start having his notes pinned to his shirts from now on. Just saying. Mark put I'll let you tell the story
So,
on yourself.
you get the insurance card thing for your vehicle. You get the renewal. So I put it by my keys and stuff. And
because you were going out with
'Cause
the
I was
dog.
going out, right.
You're going to drive that car.
yep. And actually, then I took it and I put it on my hoodie so I wouldn't forget it because I already had my keys in my pocket.
Right.
So I went over, I see the card on my hoodie, great, put it on the counter, put my hoodie on, and walk out.
It's like,
Left it on the counter.
yeah.
So yeah, I'll have to tape it to my forehead or...
I think we're just gonna have to
Pin
do
it.
like you do in kindergarten with the kids when they're on certain buses. They pin it to their clothes. They pin what bus they're on to their clothes so that they don't lose it.
You don't lose them.
Exactly. Well, so yeah, because they don't hand it to the kid because
I
they
know.
know they're gonna drop it.
Right.
So we're just next time I want you to walk out with something, I'm just gonna pin it to your shirt, and then you won't lose it.
Oh well.
I don't know. He's got a jingle that he has had to start saying. Wallet, what is it?
Oh.
Glasses, phone, wallet, keys, wallet, keys, something like that. He literally
Glasses,
says,
wallet, keys and phone. Keys and phone. Glasses, wallet, keys and phone. Keys and phone. Eyes and ears. Yep. After being
fun
locked out of the
getting old.
house or getting to work and not having your keys to your office or anything, been there. So, hey, they would like to know, could you just glaze over the whole scarf?
yes, you
One big
could.
glaze.
You could, but your white areas would turn whatever color you glaze it. So that's why I'm kind of not doing that. But yes, you could.
Okay.
But then you could just put your white parts back in. So it's not going to hurt anything if you do that.
Gotcha.
All right, I'm just kind of going back over my scarf bits with my fur. I'm using kind of the green there. Give him some fluff around the fur. And I'm going to add some of this brighter fur into the... He's a green. It's okay. He's a green polar bear. I just wanted him to be kind of wintry colors. Doesn't have to be realistic every time. If you want to do realistic, you can add more browns and yellows to him. He's still going to be whatever color is around him, though. So if our colors around him are green, then it makes sense that he would be in the green zone. Just adding a little bit of green around the nose. Going to add a little bit of green on the hat here. Anything else that looks out of place, I'm going to add a little bit more white here, I think, to the face. Just right at the top of the nose there. It's going to be kind of a triangle shape there. And then above the eyes. I keep painting over these eyebrows that I keep doing, so I keep having to redo them. They're not really eyebrows, but you get the idea. They look a little bit too fussy right now, so I'm going to take my wet paper towel and just kind of dab off the edges a little bit. Soften them up. This is kind of almost a form of glazing here, just kind of, there we go. Careful not to do this when your paint underneath is wet, though. And you'll just lift off all of it. There we go. My paint's a little bit thick on my brush, so I think that's why it's not moving around for me. There we go. That's better. And I wanted a little bit more on my cheeks. that side's okay, but that other side was okay. So doop, 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 right there. That brings that face forward. I'm going to put a little bit on the chin. I'm grabbing some glaze just to make my paint move around because it's not wanting to move for me. Right at the bottom of the chin there. And just a little bit around the sides of the muzzle too. Any place we're putting this bright white is going to pull that forward. So just don't put it anywhere where you want the face to recede because it'll, you know, you don't want to put it around your shadow areas. But the muzzle, all of that makes sense. Let's put some here maybe where where the body is. Right there. Cute. Oh, I really like how this is turning out. He's turning out nice. Phew, I needed one. It's like, it's just so frustrated.
Needed a win.
I needed a win. All right, I'm gonna use this green. Ooh, it's almost dry. Got so busy doing other stuff. Forgot what I was doing. All right, so we'll do the holly. So, and I'm gonna bring it over the hat a little bit right here. I think I want it, so I'm gonna do the two berries. Let me get a pencil, because I'm gonna leave the red berries where they're at. This is the red of the hat color. There and there, I think. And then do the holly on either side. Okay, so it's gonna come out and like that, and then like that, and then like that, and then we'll just fill that in. And if it doesn't cover, you may need to add a little bit of white. Go. Getting that darker color. And I'm just going to kind of blend them together while they're both wet. Not do too much to it other than that. Okay, and then the other side I'm going to do like that. Motorcycle Friends pack. Okay, that's good. I'm going to use this color in my scarf too. I think I have a little bit of it in my scarf, but I want to make sure it's really obvious. The same color. It's pretty close to what I already did, so I think we did good before. And I'm going to get these two again. How are we doing on time? Oh, perfect. Perfect. So getting those two. So this green has a lot of teal base to it. It's a little blue. It goes with the whole, you know, thing we've got going on here. I'm going to get a little bit darker color now. And try to kind of pull that out. It's hard because this is wet. I should have based this in earlier so that it had time to dry while I was doing other things. But now that I've finished everything else, this is all I got left. So I'm going to try to get that to stick. And I've switched back to my number 2 round, by the way, which I didn't mention, I don't think. I haven't been very good about that tonight. Sorry. Also, if you're new to painting with acrylics, you don't want to use a regular pencil, so I use a charcoal pencil or a pastel pencil or something that's water soluble so I can wipe it off if I need to. All right, so let's go ahead and get my light color, and I'll highlight my berries. And they're already kind of there, so I'm just gonna sort of define them a little bit with the highlights because they're already kind of in there. I'm gonna get the darker red. And go get some burnt umber here, and I'm just gonna kind of outline around them a little bit, darken up around them to define them. And then get some white and a little bit of my yellow with my brush. And I'm flattening my brush out so I can get kind of a squarish edge. I'm just going to put a couple highlights there on my berries. Make them look rounded. Get a little bit more of that bright red and I want the bright red. It just keeps going to light because I have that light color on my brush. Okay, there we go. Okay. Get some of that darker color and go underneath. Just making small edits there. I think we're pretty close on there. I'm going to get the brightest white now and just do a little bright boom, boom on those berries. And then on the holly itself, I'm going to get some more of the green, or make a more of a yellowish green with the Indian Yellow Hue and this green that I had before. And some white. And I don't want it too yellow because I don't really have any other yellow anywhere. So if I add a yellow green here, I need to add it somewhere else, which is fine. I just need to do that. You know, you just need to know that. If I'm adding a new kind of intense color to my holly leaves, I want to add it to my scarf or somewhere else in his face or something like that so that it doesn't look like it's out of place. I'm just going to kind of, these holly leaves have kind of like almost like an outlined look sometimes with the way their leaves, some of them do, with the way their leaves do. So I'm gonna kind of do like that, do a line sort of down the center. Maybe buff out that highlight just a little bit. Kind of like that. A little bit sharper points on there too, if I can get them. They're pretty pointy. Have them kind of flat there. There we go. Getting there. kind of just highlighting out from the edge and leaving the center a little bit dark. You can see kind of highlighting from the edges in and leaving that center line dark underneath and kind of dark right here where it goes down in. And I think that's going to be pretty good. If you want it to look like super shiny holly, you could add some white highlights, but that gets a little trickier because, you know, they're kind of glossy, so you just have to kind of look at where you're seeing the shine, and maybe, you know, there might be some shine on some of these edges. But I don't know if I like that as well as just doing it kind of like a little bit more subtle the way I had it with the softer color, because it's not realistic, you know. This whole thing is not really realistic. It's to a point it is, but it's more about the feeling, a little bit more caricatured. So I'm kind of softening that back up because I didn't like the white. I'm getting that darker green. Putting that back in along that center line. Okay, we are just about done. Do you see anything else that I missed? I think I could go back in now, and I think I'm just going to glaze some darker color in just a few places. This will be just a final little end detail here. Make sure everything else is done that you want. Sorry, Angel got his wings there.
Got the wings. Good job.
I'm going to add the Phthalo Blue and Ultramarine Blue. And just the tiniest bit of black. Yeah, there we go. So it looks kind of like a Prussian blue color. And then add glaze. And if you don't have glaze, you can add water. It won't stick as well with water. So if you were to do many, many layers over the top, it could lift. Or if you went back and tried to wipe an area off that you've done with just water and heavy body acrylics. Heavy body acrylics are different from craft acrylics. Craft acrylics have mostly polymer binder and not a lot of pigment, but with the heavy body acrylics that I'm using, the more professional quality paints, they use more pigment in them, but that means that they don't have as much binder. So if you add too much water, they can unbind, you know, and not stick. So I'm just using the wet paper towel to buff off the bottom edge. You can use your fingertip too. And I'm going to add this anywhere where I think I need a little bit of darker color. I'm going to add it on my hat here, kind of where these two meet, right there. It just shifts the color just a little bit and just allows you to put shadows and things in where they may be missing. Deepen up your shadows where you need them. And then again, just either your finger just at the very bottom of it. You don't want to see any lines, so do little sections at a time. Don't do the whole thing all the way across and then expect to be able to wipe anything off, because it'll dry before you get the chance. So especially if you're using a glazing medium that's not golden glazing medium. The reason I like to use the golden brand glazing medium is because it has an extender in it. Some do, some don't, but a lot of the glazing mediums don't have extender in them. And then they will dry really, really fast, like almost as soon as you touch the canvas. So I don't like any other glazing mediums besides Goldens. It's not too expensive either, which is nice. So
on the reference image, it looks like there's kind of like a sunlight glow just on the scarf, just to the left of the muzzle.
right here,
Yes, in the reference image.
it's a stripe of white.
Oh, it's a stripe of white. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But you could add more white there if you want.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to paint it myself.
Okay.
Just let you know. Sorry.
Well, I'm not going to do it now because I don't want to mess it up. I'm happy with the scarf, and so I'm just going to leave it. But yeah, if you wanted it, like I said, I really probably, you know, again, I'm doing this as I go, working it out as I go. So in hindsight, I probably would have highlighted the scarf a little bit more before I did my stripes. So just, you know, if you want to have a little bit more depth with your scarf, do that. Because at this point, once I put those stripes on, there's not a whole lot I can do except for go darker. If I go lighter, it's going to change the tint of the colors. It lighter makes it look cloudy. You know, you can see where I highlighted it. It kind of fuzzes out things and makes it look kind of cloudy. The darker colors don't do that as much. You can get away with kind of going back over and it's shadowing here like I'm doing, and you'll be fine. Let's use this in the corners of my painting. And I want to make sure I have a lot on my brush and use a large brush for this. Don't use a small brush because you want to be able to work fast. So I'm going to scrub it in over that whole corner there. And then take my paper towel and really kind of dry almost. I don't want to take it off like I was doing before. I'm just going to buff it in and kind of smooth out the edges and any dark spots so that it blends in. You can see that's done, that's not. You can see the difference. I'm just going for a little bit of a vignette look. And I can use my brush to kind of buff it out too if I don't have too much paint in it.
Hey, which brush are you using right now?
This is the 8 Filbert in the Aspen.
Thank you.
And I have a holiday kind of gift guide this year for my Black Friday list. Last year I did kind of a bunch of random weird stuff that I just thought was kind of interesting. This year what I decided to do with that Black Friday list, or the Blick list, it's down in the description of the video here if you're interested. But I did kind of a kit for a beginner kit. So I did kind of the sort of beginner essentials that I would start with. What it does not have is the Surround paper, because Blick sells it by the color, and I like to buy the multicolor pack that has all the colors in it, and you can only get that from Amazon that I found. So that's the only thing that it doesn't have, but it's got kind of a few brushes, and it's also got the, you know, just the basic like acrylic supplies. Like I have Liquitex Basics in there because I always like to start my beginners with them. I feel like they're a little bit easier to work with than the heavy body acrylics to right at first. They're a little softer body paint, and so they're just a little easier to work with. Plus they're a lot cheaper. So you're not spending a ton for, you know, 3 colors or something, you know. All right, there we go. I think we're pretty much done with our little bear here. He turned out really cute. I like it. a lot. Hope you guys liked it too. What?
Two things.
That's right. That's right. Okay, I'm going to put a little more detail into my snowflakes, and we'll talk about, there's just white in my, we'll talk about Shannon's thing here. What?
And no splattering?
Oh, yeah, I will splatter. Yeah,
Okay.
I will.
Golly. Yeah. Okay, so here's the post that we got today from Shannon.
She says, I just want to encourage you all when you're feeling down about your painting skills and can't really see your actual growth, take an old tutorial, redo it, and compare. The first one was in 2020 when I just started painting, and the second was last year. Look at the astonishing differences 2 years make. I'm debating doing another this year, but I fear I won't see any growth. What do you think? Oh, I think she'll see growth for sure because she's been working hard. And thank you, Shannon, for letting me share that. It's amazing. It's truly incredible. Same tutorial, same artist, first time painter, beginner, and granted that tutorial is more advanced. It's a tough tutorial. So I'm not surprised by the results she got first time painting in 2020. That is what I would expect a beginner painting to look like. And so if you're getting results like that and you're first starting out, like you're doing something right, like you are trying, you are doing it, you are working towards your goal. Just keep trying. It doesn't have to look perfect.
Practice.
It does not, and it probably won't, and that's okay. Like I think that for some reason in the art community, there's this myth that if you're not born knowing how to do this stuff, and you're not born, just incredibly talented, which I wasn't. I had to work really hard to learn to paint. It took me many, many years, and I'm still learning. And so, there's no such thing as I should say that there are some people that are prodigies that maybe are a little bit more naturally gifted. Maybe it comes easier to them, but that does not mean that you cannot work your butt off to get there, and you can paint and learn the skills and train your hand to do the thing. It's a matter of training and not innate knowledge. These are all skills that you can learn.
Whether you're a musician or an athlete or anything.
Exactly.
And they even continue to practice long and hard, even at the top of their game, because that's how they stay there.
Yep. I mean, I took 1 month off, and I feel rusty. Honestly, I've been feeling rusty. I had surgery on my gallbladder, and thankfully doing really well. But I took time off. I had to take off, several weeks, and in September, and I'm still feeling like I'm getting back into the swing of things. It's amazing.
So
but
don't give up.
Don't give up at all. And I just love that post. It just made my day. It also makes me feel good as a teacher to see that, to see that I mean, I get your guys's post. I see it all the time, but just see from start to finish like that, or, from early days to where she is now. It's just really incredible. And I love being on that journey with her and you guys, everybody else that paints along with me. It's one of my favorite things to get to see what you guys are doing. All right, let's do the snow. I'm going to use the Zinc White here. Ooh, he's going to do some...
Oh, is that Santa?
Super chat?
What? What did Santa bring us? Let's see. Oh.
Aww.
It's from Cindy.
Thank you, Cindy.
Well, thank you.
Man,
Thank
you're so
you very
sweet.
much.
It seems like every week you... It's great.
I know,
She keeps us
amazing.
in super chats. It makes me feel good.
That's awesome. Thank you very much, Cindy.
Thank you. That's awesome.
And I got to use the jingle bells.
I know. Made Mark's day. Makes my day too. It'll help pay for some of the chocolate we're going to order from C's Candy.
Yes. That's one of our sinful pleasures.
We have not done it yet, but yeah, that's...
We kind of save up and just say, okay, it's worth it.
Whoops.
Whoa.
Okay.
What's going on over there?
I don't know. It was too
That's
thick.
like a snowball.
Yeah, it was. I did this last week too. I think if I wait too long with my paint, it just doesn't do well. And make sure that your paint is dry, by the way,
Maybe a bird
before you
flew
do this
over.
last step here, or you're not going to have good results. Okay, so
Maybe
I'm
it
going
was a seagull
to
flying
add some.
over.
Huh? It's the Christmas seagull.
Christmas seagull.
All right. Sorry. There we go. Get in there.
Let's try this again.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Nice. I'm just literally tapping with my finger. You can tap with the other hand. Whatever direction you're tapping, though, is the direction that your paint's going to go. So if you're holding it like this and you're tapping on it, it's going to go that way. It's not going to go down. So you want to be tapping in the direction of your canvas. Little tip there. Otherwise, my computer would be completely covered. I'm going to get this off of the nose. I don't want it that on the nose right there. And any of them that, like, you know, kind of take away from the shape of anything, I usually take off. So, like, if they're kind of right on the borderline of something and it kind of makes it look like he has a booger or snow booger or something, you know, you want to take those off. All right, I think we are done. That turned out really good. I hope you guys liked it. I thank you for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week, but for now we're going to take a little break. So if you're a patron, we will not have any videos this week, but for Thanksgiving, obviously, it falls on Thursday, my normal Thursday. But I do want to share with you guys what we did, because we did. This is my $5 level tutorial that we did. That was 5 hours.
Yeah.
It was a long one.
That was a long Sunday.
But yeah, it turned out really cute. Little bird with a lantern. So that's the $5 level. On Patreon, you get access to this video plus all of the other $5 videos, which there's probably a lot, several dozen, if not
It'll take you a
hundreds.
few days to watch it.
Yeah, exactly. And then this was the $10 level of painting. It took us it took us 3 weeks, but we worked on it for about 8 to 10 hours. I can't remember how long it ended up being. Not 10 hours. It was probably closer to 8. But anyhow, so there's our like super shiny tree there. With these guys, the $10 and $5 level videos, I'm able to do these longer lessons where we're going more in depth. It's much more one-on-one. The chat is smaller, so you are guaranteed to have your questions answered. And if you have like we did a mini lesson on perspective on this one, so that they could kind of understand what was going on here with the drawing and that kind of thing. So if you're interested in signing up for that, thankfulart.com. You can see all of you can just search for challenge is the $10 level. Bonus videos are the $5 level. So if you put those two keywords in, you can kind of see what you get for that level. There's several, like I said, dozens of videos, hundreds almost. Yes. Combined, there's hundreds. The $10 level also gets the $5 level stuff. So if you buy the $10 level access, you get the Facebook group that does polls that talk about, you get to pick the future videos. I do polls usually once a month in there, and they get personalized critiques. So whatever they're working on, they can post in the group, and I'll help them out with that. So there's all kinds of different little perks that I do with the Patreon folks that. If you're interested, I don't know. This turned into a Patreon commercial, but maybe that's something you want to ask for Christmas. Who knows? You maybe not something you would buy for yourself, but if you're interested in you're kind of, I would say that it's for kind of the mid level, like not the beginners, but you know, if you've done a few paintings and you're kind of ready to take it to the next level, that's where what I would
You've already
suggest.
buying some more paints and brushes and stuff, and it's something that you want to do a little bit more and learn
Right.
more.
A
So
little bit more advanced tutorials, like you've done some of my 3 hour paintings here on YouTube that I used to do when I was doing Saturdays. I have lots of longer tutorials here on YouTube, but those are the kind of lessons that you'll get. And I do things like show the design process. So, on some of the $10 level paintings, I will actually show the digital drawing. So, if I was doing this polar bear with them, for instance, I would have showed them all of the reference photos that I was using, and I would show them the drawing that I did before we even start painting. There's a lot more that goes into those tutorials that I just don't have time to show on YouTube because I'm trying to get these done in like 2 hours. So anyhow, I've gone long today, so I'll let you guys go. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. We are really appreciate you. So thankful for our Thankful Art family here. We'll see you guys next time after the holidays. All right. Thanks.